So welcome everyone again to this webinar, Your Pathway to Home Ownership. Please, next slide, Roya, please. So before we get started, we just have a few housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded. A recording will be available on our website at www.sanpabloedc.org. Any resources mentioned during the presentation will also be available on our website. And after this webinar, you will be receiving a follow-up email with copies of the slides as a PDF form, and also a link to the pre-recorded webinar. Just keep in mind that all attendees are muted. If you are having issues with audio, you may need to click on the webinar screen to enable the audio. We do welcome all your questions, so please type them on the Q&A box or in the chat box, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar if time permits. Next slide, please. So before I get started, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Suhey Mojica. I am the Senior Program Coordinator for Business and Assets at San Pablo Economic Development Corporation. And just to give you guys a little bit of background in terms of our organization, our mission at San Pablo Economic Development Corporation, also referenced as San Pablo EDC, is to develop, diversify, and stabilize the local economy. Some of the programs and services that we offer are workshops, education and training for businesses, entrepreneurs, and individuals to promote health, equity, and economic mobility. Programs and services are developed and delivered by staff as well as our EDC partners that you will be meeting some of them today. To support advancement, we focus on employment training and support, home ownership, business resources, and access to capital. Next slide, please. As you can see here, this webinar will be discussing the steps to the home buying process. This roadmap and helpful tool will be available on our website if you wish to download or print. Next slide, please. So today, we'll be discussing the following: benefits of owning your home, establishing a good credit, deciding how much you can afford, roles of professionals in the home buying process, down payment, closing costs, and mortgage insurance requirements, applying for a home loan, insuring your new home, and additional resources for low and moderate income home buyers. Next slide. Okay, thank you. As I mentioned earlier, this is our very first home ownership webinar that was designed to help you feel more confident about the home buying process. So please bear with us if we encounter some glitches. This webinar was possible with the help of our wonderful partners, Bank of the West, MV Rod, M.A. Hayes Company. We are grateful for their partnership and collaboration with San Pablo EDC. Our presenters today are Emma Biggie from Bank of the West, Vanessa and Marco Rodriguez from MV Rod, Nico Veron from M.A. Hayes Company, and myself, Suhey from San Pablo EDC. But before we get started, I just want to, before I get started with our first presenter, we have some poll questions that we encourage you to participate so we have a better sense of who our audience is today. If we can launch the first poll, please. Are you guys able to see the poll?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, we're just going to give everyone a few more seconds to answer, and then I will launch the results. Okay, I think I'll end it now, just for the sake of time. So the first poll question is, do you know how much house you can afford? And as you can see, 65% of the attendees said no. So this will definitely be a helpful webinar for you. It'll give you the steps and the process of how to do that. Let's do the next poll. So if you guys can please take a minute to answer this, that would be great. Okay, and again, just for the sake of time, I'll end it now and share some of the results. So it looks like 88% of you are not working currently with a realtor, and 12% of you have started talking to a realtor. So again, you will be getting really good information today from our realtors that are presenting to you today. Let's see here, and we'll do the last one. Okay, great. So I'll end it now. And the third poll question was, how important is purchasing a homeowner's insurance policy before closing a home? And as you can see, all of you guys, 82% answered that it's very important. So it looks like some of you guys have some of that information already. So let's get started with our first presenter. Let's see here. So our first presenter today is Emma Biggie from Bank of the West. She is the VP Community Lending and Diverse Markets Business Development Officer. She will be going over the home mortgage lending process and how to prepare. Welcome, Emma.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would thank San Pablo EDC to have us here. We really appreciate to have this opportunity to provide some information to really educate our community. And second, I do want to thank everybody else take time for this workshop. No further ado, I know our time is very, very limited. I would like to give out as much as the information we can and also share the time with other partners. So I will dive in right away. Next slides, actually, I would like not to mention too much about this. This is a disclaimer to basically is telling everybody is the information we gave off a general knowledge. Next, please. Okay, so we step right into benefit of the homeownership. So what's the benefit of a homeownership? Of course, you will take a pride in owning a home of your own. You will have a sense of community and personally achievement. All those good things can happen start from the home ownership. But the most important thing I want you to think and to take away from this moment on is, first of all, your journey of home ownership started from this workshop. And secondly, the home ownership is really your starting to build the personal asset, personal financial well-being. Next. So achieving home ownership actually is not an overnight event or instant. They take some effort and work to get to there. So there are some steps. What we're going to look at it is a couple of keynotes here tonight to just give you a taste of how this overall processing looks like. First, we need to understand our credit. And then we need to know how much we can afford and how much you are willing to pay. That means is how big the price tag you are looking at and willing to work with it. And the other thing is after that, it will be understand if you stepped into the lending business, what type of a product and services you are going to receiving. And then after that, we really get into the technical part is how do the lenders to qualify you to achieve the home ownership. And then after that will be, of course, the very concrete, solid steps is talking to the agent to find a home. Next. Understanding credit. For this slide, there's nothing on this except the three big beautiful pictures. I want to see on this understanding credit. There's just three concepts that you need to understand. Number one, what is the credit? Credit actually is the ability to borrow money from a home buyer from consumer standpoint, and also from the lender's perspective, that actually is to see what is the consumer's financial credit worthiness. So that's a different way. And another thing about understand credit is credit records, the report, the story behind what is about the credit. And then that last thing is the credit measurement. That's the 3-digit score we normally talking about, how good or how not so good your credit behavior. Let's dive in this credit score first, because this is the item most of us is quite familiar with, because a lot of times we're talking about, oh, hey, what's your credit score? Well, what is your credit score? What is our credit score? What's in there? So the credit score, if we're talking about 100 points, we're just using the scorecard is 100 points. You look at this, this is industry famous pie chart to reflect your 100 points credit. So 35% or 35 points goes to your payment history, and 30 points goes to amount owned, and the rest of those are going to be new accounts, length of the credit history, and credit mix. I want to give you a tip just looking at this credit pie chart. The 30% amount owned actually is a benchmark for the industry to see if the person has a good credit to maintain your account. Your average account balance should be limited as average at 30%, average balance. So you can use the credit monthly, month in, month out, high and low, but pretty much the average maintain the balance out as a 30%. In that way, the credit bureau will rating that's the excellent credit standing. Next, please. Now, we know what is the score. What's in that score? Let's look at our credit report. This slide is very important. I know Suhi already mentioned to us is after this presentation or workshop, everybody will get the slides of the speaking point. So you will have this slides. I highly encourage people, when you got the slides, when you got this information, go to the annualcreditreport.com and get your free annual credit report from 3 bureaus. This is the starting part for all of us to understand what is your credit, what's in there. That's a lot of details and story to talk about it. Next, please. When you get the credit report, when you look at your credit and know the story and look at the inside out, what the data there, and you will definitely have some questions. If everything is perfect, the rosy, loving, doving, so that's we don't need to worry about it. But if something happened, you need to follow this type of steps to really kind of give you a roadmap to say to how to improve and how to do something to elevate your credit rating. So first is pay your bills on time. This is very important. And also pay off the debt and keep a balance low. Do not use the credit excessively. And also the most important thing, if you get the report and you look at the report and you see, wow, there's something I don't recognize, I don't remember I have it. For that type of incident, you immediately stop right there and need to correct that information and to see whether that's really belongs to you, or you need to write a letter to the credit bureau or to the creditors, ask for dispute or corrections. Next, please. Now, after we understand the credit, we come down to looking at the way to do the purchasing home. So first, purchasing the home from a lender's perspective and also from the lending industry, we're going to see how much the homeowners or home buyers wants to do some personal investment in this transaction. That personal investment we call it is down payment assistance program, or down payment portion. So the down payment source is very, very important. This is a part you as a consumer, we all need to understand what type of asset we have, what type of accumulated the money we have for this transaction, checking, saving, your retirement account, and also the government grant program, and also the nonprofit down payment system program, such as San Pablo EDC has 2 down payment system program. I know one is a Wish, the other one is a Splash. Those type of a program actually will provide assistance for you to thinking about combine with the institutional lending part to help you to purchase the house. Next. After you understand and know what type of asset you have, now we're really getting into the technical part about lending, about borrowing. So for borrow money or for lending money, first of all, the lender will look at it is how much you are going to qualify for. And you are also, as consumer, we are also wondering how much I can borrow. So this is the 2 steps we're going to get into this. First is pre-qualification versus pre-approval. This is a 2 steps, but normally this has a big differences. For the pre-qualification, we normally talking about just a roughly estimation. You don't need to have a really professional person to, sit down with you to do the estimating. Everybody understand the lending can do the estimate because this is just estimation. There's no assurance, no commitment from any lender to see how much money you're going to get. But let's talking about pre-approval. Pre-approval is a very formal step. You are going to have a complete financial review from the professional lending institution or personal. So the lending institution or personnel is going to check your credit, is going to verify the income situation. You're going to also verify the asset. So all in all, will be overviewed everything about the household financial. After this review is completed, there is a commitment letter officially issued to the consumer to say, okay, you are assured at this amount to borrow. And with that assurance, you can feel very peaceful in mind to say, I talked to Marco, which is our next step to talking to the agent to get the house. So Marco will also be pleased to say homeowners or home buyers at this moment actually go through some basic education and understanding the steps, and much easier to work with the agent and afterwards all the other services providers. Next. The slides is talking about a very simple, what type of a mortgage product and programs you are going to get when you start the pre-approval and also go through the loan processing. So a couple of things, conforming loan, you are talking about a fixed rate, adjustable rate. Also there's a government loans and also portfolio loans. So for us as a lender, we can assure you there are numerous loan options for you to choose. So just feel free to talk to your loan officers and really explore that, because that world is large. So I would consider is definitely talk to your loan officer and get some information from there. Here, we just kind of touch upon some points, and definitely we will leave a lot of space for self-study. Next. I would say this is another specific program. If I have more time, I would love to talk about it. But one thing I want to mention is this is the program literally telling if you are first-time home buyer and you want to come in to the home ownership, even you don't have much money, you still can buy the house, and even without down payment. And well, the down payment side can be helped or provided by the other sources. Next, please. So key elements to finding a home. Get a pre-approval. This is a very, very important. Talk to the lenders, and to get a pre-approval to really know what you can afford, what is your household liability situations, your household future financial structure. And owning a house, when owning a house is a big step. So is understanding every features is very, very important. And of course, you need to work with a real estate agent you feel comfortable and to discuss some details to really establish a relationship for your needs. Next. So I believe this is my last slide. I would consider if you have less than perfect credit, you have a low down payment options there, the savings there, or your you may not have a perfect credit and everything else. Can you buy the house? The answer is absolutely yes. So you need to come out and talk to the professionals. And also there's one thing, talk to the professionals. You will find out you have the options to buy, but also you may thinking about at this moment may not be the right choice, but the professional advisors will guide you through some steps to really get you there when you are ready. So that's something is get education is very important. With all this said, I will give the stage back to Soo-Hee, and thank you very much. I'm definitely looking forward to see you guys again and do more education. Thank you. This is the Emma from Vancouver West.
Thank you, Emma, very much. Your expertise is of great value to this webinar. So if anyone has questions about any specific slide that Emma spoke, please feel free to either put it on the box for the question or the chat, or you can email me directly after this webinar and I can connect you with Emma. Thank you, Emma. And our next presenters are Marco and Vanessa Rodriguez from MV Rod. They will be discussing with you today what to expect when working with a realtor. Marco and Vanessa.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Nice to meet everyone. First off, just want to say thank you so much to EDC, all the panelists, and especially to everyone that has logged in. I know it's Thursday. We're almost there towards the weekend, but we definitely are really appreciative of you joining to learn some information about home ownership. A little background about ourselves. Vanessa Marco Rodriguez. This is my wife. We've been working in real estate for over 17 years. Together, we have over 30 years of experience. By the grace of God, we've been able to help over 500 families here in the area in West County. We service all the Bay Area. You know, we've gone as far as Solano County, San Francisco County, and so forth. So we know this area very, very well. So just wanted to take the time to just say thank you once again and wanted to give you a little background about our services. So next slide, please.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, once again for joining, and thanks again to San Pablo EDC. We're going to talk a little bit about our mission, and we love to help families like you to get to your dream home. That is our major goal in every transaction, and we're always looking for innovative ideas to solve the problems that arise during the process. And we like to always get training, and constantly we attend seminars too. And we like to provide with a transparent and pleasant transaction to all of our clients. There's no better rewarding for us to give keys to our clients. It's such a great feeling for all of us. So next slide.
So consulting with an agent, this is something very important. Like Emma said, there's a few steps that we're going to talk about this afternoon. And once you have a consultation with an agent, what we do is we pair you up with a lender so that you can see where you stand financially, so we can make sure that we can find a home that is within your means. Next slide. So we're going to go ahead and talk about 7 steps to home ownership. So there's only 7 steps. They're very, very easy. The first one, Emma, thank you so much. Amazing job making sure to kind of outline the loan process. So the first one, obviously, you want to talk to a lender. You want to know how much you qualify so you can know your monthly payment and all that good stuff that comes with your mortgage. They're going to be your principal, interest, tax, and insurance. You need to know all of this. Sometimes when you go online, you start shopping around for a loan, they only tell you what the principal and the interest is. So it's important to know that also your payment, there's also taxes that need to be paid. There's also insurance that needs to be paid. So Nico's going to touch on the insurance part. The second step is that once you've already been pre-approved, what we do is we go out shopping. And who doesn't like to go shopping, right? So we go out shopping for the house. And sometimes you have, some buyers, they find the very first home that they like, they submit an offer, and they get it accepted. It's a very, very low percentage that would actually submit an offer and get their offer accepted. So sometimes it can take several days, sometimes it can take several weeks, sometimes it can take several months. So the process, it really just varies. So there's no right or wrong answer to that. But what we want to tell you is that you have to be very persistent. You also have to have a lot of patience. And what we do during the whole consultation, we want to make sure that we set realistic expectations. So those are some of the things that we want to make sure that we address when we have our consultation. Third step is when we start making these offers. So what exactly is an offer? Exactly what it spells out, making an offer to the seller. As a buyer, you want to offer your terms to the seller. We're going to go ahead and put a price there. We're going to talk about contingencies. We're going to talk about legality and clauses that are very, very important for you to understand and know. There's timelines and there's timeframes that we need to meet as a buyer. So we work alongside with you. Our team and I work alongside with you to make sure that we can meet all those timelines, to make sure that your offer, one, gets accepted, and once it gets accepted, that it's a very smooth process. So we talk about all that good stuff when we submit an offer. Usually it can take anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes to fully explain the contract. So we'll go ahead and address that when we submit our offer. We're going to go ahead on to our fourth step, which is the negotiation. This is something I truly, truly love. And the reason being is because we want to go and bat for our clients. So when you make an offer, maybe you had an expectation this property was in move-in condition. Maybe the roof was, pretty in good shape. Maybe there was no termites. But during the course of the purchase, maybe you come to find out maybe there's termite damage. Maybe that roof that we thought was in good shape, maybe it needs to be replaced. This is where we, as your agents, we go to bat for you. And we're going to go ahead and negotiate with the seller and try to figure out how we can get either a price reduction, a credit, or figure out something that kind of compensates for the work that needs to be done on the house. We also need to be very, very mindful that some of these negotiations, we have to run it by the lender. So we're going to make sure that we're all on the same page. We're all in sync to make sure that this negotiating credit, whatever that looks like, is going to be beneficial to you on the purchase of the house. Worst thing that can happen is a seller can say no. Of course, we ideally want them to say yes. Or maybe they might counter our negotiation. They might say, hey, maybe we're not willing to credit the full amount for the roof, but why don't we just split it right down the middle, 50-50. So again, those are some of the things that we address when we're doing our negotiation. So now we're gonna move on to step number 5. Step number 5 is that once we're done with our negotiation, we're gonna go and work hand in hand with your lender. And we're going to work as a team with the title. Our real estate team is going to work alongside with you to make sure that everything is moving in the right direction. We all want to gear up to finish that finish line very strong. So we have to make sure that your loan is moving along in the right direction as well. So up front, you've already been pre-approved, which Emma already spoke about, but we want to make sure that you keep your credit in good shape. Sometimes we have clients that they go and they shop, not for a house, they shop for a car and they get into some debt. So these are things that can get us in trouble. So we have to constantly remind our clients to make sure to take care of their credit. As we now make way to the finish line, which is the closing and funding, this is the exciting part. You've already done all the negotiations. You've already gotten all your numbers out of the way. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to close and we're going to fund. The closing table looks simply like this. You usually sit in front of a notary. You're going to notarize all the documents that the lender is going to provide to you. You're going to have your note. You're going to have a lot of other documents that you're going to promise to pay back the bank, the amount of money that they're lending to you. And there's going to be a lot of documents that you're signing. It usually takes anywhere from 45 minutes to about an hour to hour and a half. And this is a fun time because you're going to be able to sign away all your documents, and then you know that you're gearing up towards the finish line. When you sign your documents, typically within 3 days, you'll probably be getting keys in hand, which is our last step, which is step number 7. Next slide.
And that's the day you receive keys, and it's the most exciting day for every buyer. It's a day to take pictures too and to celebrate.
It's a huge accomplishment for you to be able to get keys in hand. And we really get excited when we see our buyers start from the beginning, go through the 6 steps, and then finally step number 7.
Yeah, so this is it, guys, from us. This is our information. We're located right here in Richmond at the 3220 Bloom Drive, Suite 178. And you can call us at 510-375-3172. And you can also email us at the email that is provided on the slide. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And we'll go ahead and give it right back to Suhey. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Marco and Vanessa. That's really great information. I'm sure everyone's glad that you guys went over that. It's definitely useful and helpful. So thank you again. And we're going to move on with Nico Veron from M.A. Hayes Company. He's an insurance broker with many years of home insurance experience. So Nico, you can take it from now.
Thank you, Suhey. Thank you, EDC San Pablo, and thank you to all the attendees for this opportunity. So you got the money from Emma. Marco found you the home that you want to purchase. So now you need to insure your asset, which is your home. And for that, you need to get a homeowner's insurance policy, which is really a package policy. As it reads here, you are covering your dwelling, which is the structure, other structure coverage, which is the fences, gazebos, everything that is not attached to the structure, like a detached garage, all that you own, clothing, your TVs, your phones, everything that is inside your home. Loss of use coverage, it is coverage that you need when there is a covered claim and you need to move out of your house. The insurance company will pay you to move to another house while yours is being fixed, or to a hotel while it's being fixed. Personal liability coverage helps you in case, let's say, somebody's at your house, not a household member, trips and falls, and when they want to sue you, you have coverage for that. So in order to get homeowners insurance, we'll just need to ask you a few questions about the property. And for that, you need to ask your real estate person some key questions about the home. Like, for example, how old the roof is, if they have done any updates to the plumbing, any updates to the heating system, any updates to the electrical system, any updates to the water heater. And the reason is because most of the claims that happen to the homes are as a result of having an older plumbing system, an old water heater, such things like that. So the process to get homeowners insurance is very simple. Just give us a call, and within 48 hours, we can give you a number, a quote, and we present many companies. So it's very simple to obtain a homeowner's insurance policy. Sometimes the lenders will require you to have another type of insurance, which is the flood insurance. Some homes, they are on a high risk flood area. So that's a different type of policy that you can also purchase, but it's not attached to a homeowner's policy. And another type of policy that many homeowners like to purchase is the earthquake insurance policy, which only 25% of homeowners purchase. I think that concludes my presentation.
Here. Thank you, Nico. That was really great information. Again, everyone, so far you have heard from our experts, whether it's lending, whether it's real estate or home insurance. If you have anything specifically that you would like to ask, we will try to answer them at the end of this presentation if we have enough time. We are simultaneously answering some of the questions. So if some of the panelists, while I'm going through my slides, if you feel comfortable going in and answering if it's specific to your industry, please feel free to answer them on the Q&A box or on the chat box while I'm going through my slides. If we're able to answer them live at the end, we will. If not, we will follow up with you after the webinar so that you can get your answer to your questions. So again, today I will be talking to you about the programs that are available to or additional resources for low to moderate income home buyers. So the first home buyer down payment assistance program that I would like to introduce you to is WISH. WISH stands for the Workforce Initiative Subsidy for Home Ownership. This program basically provides funding up to $22,000 in down payment closing assistance costs. The funds are awarded on a 4-to-1 match. So you as a home buyer would need to contribute $5,500 of your own money to get the max of the $22,000. So basically you will have $27,500 for down payment. No payments are due for this grant. 20% is forgiven for every year you reside in the property. After 5 years, which would be 100% of the grant would be forgiven. Funds are available on a first come first basis with a fully executed purchase contract. And again, these funds are subject to availability. We work with member banks who the funds are then dispersed that way, but the funds come from the Federal Home Bank of San Francisco. So usually by mid-March or the end of March, our member banks let us know how much that funding is available. They no longer tell us how much is available, but they will let us know once the funds are exhausted. So we would, if you were to call and say, are there still funds, we will let you know from our members bank information. The WISH funds may only be used toward down payments or reasonable and customary closing costs in association with the purchase of the house. And it can only be used if as a residence, you have to be the primary resident of that home. It can't be an investment property or a rental property. So the qualifying criteria for WISH is the family household income cannot exceed 80% of the HUD income limits for the Oakland, Fremont, California area based on the HUD metro income limits. You can give me a call directly and I can walk you through that. So the first thing we need to do is find out if your income qualified. The borrower must be a first-time home buyer. So if you owned a property already, this program would not be for you. The borrower must occupy the property as a primary residence. After the 5 years and the grant has been forgiven, if you wanted to rent that property out, that's okay. But within the first 5 years, you have to reside in the property. The borrower must complete an 8-hour HUD-approved first-time home buyer education workshop. We also have that information available on our website for HUD-approved vendors. All of these workshops are being done virtually right now, and most of them are free. If you want to contact us, we can give you a list of the vendors that are available. The next qualifying criteria that it's very important to finalize to see if you are eligible for this program is the debt to housing expense ratio must not exceed 35% of the gross household income. And again, this is something that San Pablo EDC will help you and walk you through that to see if you are qualified within those two things, which is the income limits and the expense ratio in terms of the housing expense. The only homes that are available for this program, I saw that attendee had asked a question about a multiplex. Multiplex are not allowed in this program. The only properties that you can use this program with is the single family detached homes, condominiums, and townhouses. Those are the only type of properties that are eligible for this funding. Next slide, please. So the next program that we have that just started as of January of 2021 is called SPLASH, and SPLASH stands for San Pablo Loan Assistance for Sustainable Housing. The funding comes from the San Pablo successor agency, which we can reference as the HSA. The mission of this program is to help low-income individuals become first-time home buyers in the city of San Pablo. Next slide, please. So as you can see, the loans are made through the SPLASH program they're basically deferred payment loans, which is also known as the silent second loans. No payments will be required until the property is sold or otherwise transferred, including refinancing. SPLASH is a shared appreciation loan with a 15-year term for up to 10% of the purchase price of the home. So the most you can receive in down payment assistance is $50,000. The interest rate, it's the greater of the shared appreciation or 3% per annum simple interest. The borrower may prepay the loan at any time without penalty. So if you either sold a home or wanted to just pay the loan off, you can. There is no prepayment penalty for this. The length of the loan is 15 years. So if at 15 years, you either have not sold a home or you're refinancing, the loan will be due at 15 years. So please keep that in mind. The difference about SPLASH in terms of the qualifying criteria is that, sorry, I think I'm going back to the same. Did we go to the next slide or am I, where are we? Can you go? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so first-time home buyers, again, this program is intended for qualified low-income first-time home buyers seeking to purchase a home in the jurisdictional boundaries of the city of San Pablo. There is no exception to that rule. So if you wanted to use this program, it can only be used if you're looking to purchase a home in the jurisdictional boundaries of the city of San Pablo. Borrowers and borrowers' households must meet the income requirements, as I mentioned earlier, and you have to occupy the property as your principal residence. You do have to have a minimum of 3.5% of the sales price as a down payment in order to receive the funds. The funds can only be used for down payment assistance and non-recurring closing costs. And again, this program does prioritize first responders, teachers, and veterans. Next slide, please. SPLASH can complement other first-time down payment assistance programs such as WISH. So you could use WISH and SPLASH together, and other programs as HFA, Cal HFA, Community Reinvestment Act loans, economic opportunity mortgages, school and teacher employee assistance programs, My Home program. And again, you can check with us if there's a different program that you're working with. We can let you know, and again, work with your lender to see if they can be combined because there's different regulations. So, but we can walk you through that as well. Next slide, please. So again, the process for both SPLASH and WISH, we recommend that you go on our website at www.sanpabloedc.org to read the guidelines, basically become knowledgeable about how the programs work, and what you would need to do in order to see if you qualify and if you meet all the requirements. Again, as we mentioned from the experts earlier, it's always good to start working with a lender because it will help you know how much house you can afford. It would also let us know kind of the terms of the loans that you're going in. And then that way you can start working with a realtor once you know what you can afford in terms of a home. And then find a great real estate agent. So next slide, please. This is the final process in terms of the application. Again, we recommend that you get yourself familiar with the requirements and eligibility. You would need to prepare and submit an application packet that's available on our website, or you can contact me and I can make that available to you as well. We would need the packet to be complete with supporting documentation of income and asset verification of all household members. For Splash only, there is a $1,000 non-refundable application fee. That's not for Wish, it's only for the Splash program. And then you will also need to include with your packet and all documentation the certification of completion of the HUD Certified First-Time Home Buyer Workshop. And so I believe that is it for me. If we can go to the next slide. Again, all of this information, I know it's a lot of information, so don't worry. We will be providing you with the slides at the end of the webinar, and also a link to the recording. You have all of our contact information, so there's anyone specifically in this webinar today that you have specific questions to your situation, please feel free to contact them or contact me and I can connect you with the speakers today, whether if it's you're needing to talk to a lender, a realtor, or an insurance broker to know any information that you may need. So I think we're kind of running, we're running behind. I was gonna say we have time to answer some questions, but let's see here. I think I'll answer maybe a few questions, give it 2 minutes, and we'll end it at 5:50 because we do have a Spanish session of this webinar starting at 6 o'clock, and we want to make sure that we provide the same information to our next session attendees. But someone asked, how long is the certificate good for? So I believe you're talking about the workshop certificate. The certificate for Wish, they will allow, as long as the certificate is not more than a year old, they will accept it. If it's been more than a year, you would have to attend the workshop again and get a certificate again. For Splash, they have it at 6 months. So it can be longer than 6 months that you've attended the workshop. And I believe we have another question here. Are all this in California only, not the Splash, but all the others? As for Wish, I couldn't really tell you. I don't know if it is a national program. I'm imagining it is. Again, the funding comes from the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco. So I know this is just for California, but I can check and see if this is a national program in terms of Wish. Can you purchase the home that you live in using a first-time home buyer program? As I mentioned before, this is only for first-time home buyers. If the home that you're living is a rental and you're not the owner, then yes, you would be considered a first-time home buyer and you can use that program. If it is that you're renting that home and the owner is selling it to you. Let's see here, the next one. Are these funds distributed every fiscal year? Yes. So every year they tell us how much funding, well, actually they don't even tell us how much funding is available because it's on a first come, first served basis. They just tell us funding is available, and once it's exhausted, they let us know that the funding, there is no more funding. But they would communicate that with us, and we would communicate that with the home buyer asking for that information. We suggest, let's see here, I think that was Marco answering those questions. So I think for now it's 5:51, and we'll try to follow up with everyone. I'm so sorry if we didn't answer all your questions, but thank you everyone for attending. Thank you to all of our speakers today. I think this was a very successful first home buyer workshop. Thank you for everyone that attended and took the time to learn. Again, you have really good experts here. Please reach out to them if you wanna, if you have questions or if you need more guidance. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help you. So thank you again, everyone. And again, you will be receiving our slides and our link to this pre-recorded webinar. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.